Good morning. Today is Thursday, November 21st. Thank you for tuning in to Buncombe County's Community Briefing. I'm Lillian Govis, Director of Communications for the county. And as a reminder, there will be no briefing tomorrow on Friday. Today we will be talking about, I'm already thinking about Thanksgiving. We'll be turkey. Today we'll be talking about code purple and sheltering during cold weather. As we head into colder temperatures, we know this year looks much different than years past. Of course, FEMA provides temporary housing, and there are currently more than 1,000 families who are currently staying in hotels through FEMA while more permanent housing is finalized. Of course, anyone who has been displaced by the shelter who needs some sheltering during these cold temperatures, they can contact the WNC Rescue Ministries and take advantage of sheltering options through them as well. But of course, if you haven't registered with FEMA, we encourage you to do so at disasterassistance.gov so that we can work on getting some long-term housing worked out. We'll go ahead and get started as we always do with County Manager Avril Pender.
Good morning. Today I'll start with an update on storm debris removal. Buncombe County property owners in unincorporated areas and the city of Asheville and the tongue of Black Mountain that are impacted by Hurricane Helene who do not have debris removal insurance may apply to have qualified disaster debris removed from their property at no cost through the private property debris removal program. The program also covers the demolition of eligible unsafe structures. Here are 3 things you need to know about private property debris removal. 1, you can visit one of our private property debris removals application centers from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Tuesdays through Friday, to find out if you're eligible. They're located at the Asheville Mall, Barnersville Fire Department, Swannanoa Fire Department on Bee Tree Road, and the Fairview Library. You can also apply online. Go to www.buncombeready.org for that information. That is buncombeready.org. And third, private property debris removal is different from debris collections on private roads. Private property debris removal is where crews have to enter a property to collect debris. An example of this could be if flooding carried a neighbor's shed or a tree into your backyard and you cannot get it to the right of way. On regular storm debris, Hurricane Helene created an estimated 10 million cubic yards of debris throughout Buncombe County. Debris removal will be a lengthy process, and we appreciate everyone's collaboration as we begin to clean up our homes and community. As of this morning, over 208,000 cubic yards of debris have been collected in the public right-of-way. Currently, there are 45 trucks running in Buncombe County, removing debris from all county zones. For more information on private property debris removal and other debris questions, call the One Buncombe hotline at 828-250-6100. That is available Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. and select option 2. An update on FEMA. For those who have not yet filled out your FEMA assistance application, we encourage you to do so at disasterassistance.gov or by calling 800-621-3362. Again, disasterassistance.gov or call 800-621-3362. Important updates for the FEMA Disaster Recovery Center at the Asheville Mall. Starting on Monday, November 25th, the center at the Asheville Mall will be open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. The center will now close on Sundays and there will also be closed from November 28th to December 1st for Thanksgiving weekend. The DRC will reopen at 8 a.m. Monday, December 2nd. This week, the center's open regular hours, So come by 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you come to the Asheville Mall before doors open at 11, use the Barnes & Noble entrance. This new schedule applies to all DRCs in the state. So if you're out of town visiting a DRC, this is their new schedule as well. To find a DRC location near you, go to fema.gov/DRC or text DRC and the zip code to 43362. Hazard Mitigation Grant Update. Buncombe County residents can receive funding to make their homes more resilient through home projects that reduce the long-term risk and impacts of natural hazards, such as floods, wildfires, and storms. Through the program, there are 3 home or property projects: raising the elevation of the home, a foundation and new construction, and/or acquisition of the property. This program is voluntary, and property owners can withdraw at any point. In all 3 of these programs, there is no cost to the homeowner. Applications are open now and can be submitted online. Get more information at www.buncombeready.org. Applying online starts with a 5-minute grant information request. Folks watching on Facebook will see the link in the chat, or you can also scan the QR code on the screen with your phone. Online applications are open for 1 year. Vaseboro schedule for this week, the week of 11/18. Today and tomorrow, Vaseboro will operate normal routes for household trash and recycling in accessible locations. Vaseboro will be located at the following locations for residents they are not able to access, from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. This is for a household bag trash only. So today, Thursday, Ingalls Fairview at 225 Charlotte Highway. Tomorrow, Friday, North Buncombe Pool at 734 Clark's Chapel Road in Weaverville. An Asheville Buncombe Rebuilding Together Grant Fund reminder. Less than a week is left to apply for the Asheville Buncombe Rebuilding Together grant. For-profit businesses in Buncombe County and the city of Asheville are eligible to receive grants of up to $25,000 to support recovery expenses not covered by insurance or other funding sources. Applications are open through November 27th and can be found at mountainbizworks.org/AB grants. Applications are also available in Spanish. An update on distribution sites and community care stations. The boil water notice is lifted, but water distribution operations, laundry, and showers will continue to be available at the community care stations. We are working to coordinate these resources for our community based on needs, and we will be sure to communicate about any changes to the sites. Our community care stations are open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily, although they will be closed on next Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. Now we'll turn it over to Nikki Reed with the City of Asheville to walk through the Code Purple response.
Good morning. Thank you, Avril. My name is Nikki Reed. I'm the Director of Community and Economic Development for the City of Asheville, and I'd like to share some information about Code Purple. So Code Purple is a long-standing community initiative that promotes safety for people experiencing homelessness by expanding emergency shelter capacity during cold weather from October 15th through April 30th. The Code Purple work group develops plans and coordinates operations, and that group includes shelter and outreach providers, public safety staff, transit operators, and volunteers. Code Purple is called for each night individually within 48 hours in advance, and it's based on the forecast on weather.gov. Code Purple is called when weather is 32 degrees or below, including wind chill, or Code Purple can be called if the weather is 33 degrees, between 40 degrees with precipitation. And now I'd like to share more about the Code Purple partners. So ABCCM is our host this year, and they are operating the shelters. The first shelter is Transformation Village, and that is for women or women with children. The second shelter is located on 20th Street, and that is for men. For transportation, we partner with the ART City of Asheville Transit System, and that will provide fare-free transit to and from Code Purple shelters. We partner with Buncombe County. They are a funder, and they post notifications on our website and distributes the alert. The City of Asheville coordinates the work group and is a funder as well, and posts the notification on the website and the HCCA marquee. We appreciate our communications team. That's Melanie Robertson and Carrie Thomason. They call Code Purple based on the forecast and distributes the notification email. And we also appreciate our public safety staff. They support access for anyone unable to use public transit. And now I'd like to share more about Code Purple operations. So here on the screen, you'll see that we have the locations listed. So 20th Street, the population they serve is for single men. Those hours of intake are 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. I will say that both public safety and outreach staff do assist people who need to enter after hours, and they are able to facilitate late entry. The transit routes are S3 or S6, and that is the Gerber Road stop to get to that 20th Street location. The second location is Transformation Village at 30 Olin Haven Way, and that is for single women or women with children. Again, those intake hours are the same, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. The transit route is W2. And last slide here that I'll share. So notification about Code Purple is available to any community member by emailing bcnc.homeless.coalition@gmail.com. You can be added to the distribution list there. There's also information on our website, and this link will take you to the Code Purple manual. And then we also have contacts listed here on the screen for the communication team. Again, that email, bcnc.homeless.coalition@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to the Homeless Strategy Division of the City of Asheville, and that is homelessstrategy@asheville.nc.gov. Thank you. And now I'll introduce Marvin McCoy to share more.
Good morning, Buncombe County and residents. My name is Marvin McCoy, community paramedic with Buncombe County EMS. We'd like to inform people on the work that we've been doing with the recovery of Hurricane Helene. During the storm, there was a lot of planning immediately as things were happening. We located several unhoused people, helped the American Red Cross set up the shelters at the Ag Center over off Airport Road, Gold's Gym off Hendersonville Road, and there was 2 locations at the AB Tech campus. One was medical, and one was more for just general unhoused. We provided the care with medical attention as far as checking vitals and making sure that people were getting any kind of wound care that they needed. Along with the determination, did they need to go to the hospital emergency room? We immediately pivoted to providing medication-assisted treatment services, which is where the community paramedics got their start 4 years ago with PORT, Post-Overdose Response Team, where we were able to cut those numbers by more than 50% with a 67% success rate. During the storm, we noticed that people lost access to their primary doctors. They were unable to go to the clinics. They did not have transportation available. So we immediately formed a team. We set up in different locations to provide medication-assisted treatment to continue their recovery. We were very successful with that. And working in with the shelters, a lot of the unhoused individuals that were a part of our program ended up in the shelters. So with us already being there, we were able to continue our efforts in preventing overdoses. With all that said, we also helped with evacuations early on during the storm. Our community paramedic team and mobile community outreach team was where we always at, boots on the ground. We're out front. We're in the communities. We're in the low-income housing areas. We're under bridges. We're out where a lot of people would not plan to be. With that, we were able to rescue several individuals and transport them to the shelters. Our efforts were much appreciated. Several thank yous along the way. I was grateful to be a part of that team. When it came to the shelters, we set up community paramedics initially in each shelter. And the American Red Cross, and when FEMA arrived, they helped us support that wait. I was very thankful for their arrival and the continued efforts. We brought on strike teams from all over the nation, different EMS services that came in and supported Buncombe County EMS in our efforts to help the unhoused, the ones that lost their homes, the ones that lost their families. It was a tremendous response from the nation. I still can't find the words to tell people how thankful Buncombe County is for other states and their emergency services coming together and working together. We'll never forget that. Along with that, we were able to go into several nursing home type areas, assisted living, people that were without power, needed help with water, needed potable water. Our teams helped, the basic of all needs, making sure you got bottles of water and able, for sanitary reasons, able to use the bathroom and then flush the commode. I never realized how important such basic necessities are, but after the storm, we realized real quickly how important food, shelter, and water is. But once again, tremendous thank you to the residents of Buncombe County for coming together. I can 100% say that Western North Carolina was very strong in their efforts, and hopefully the continued efforts of the community with the county and all the city and partners, we will come together and continue to help the victims of Hurricane Helene. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lacey Hoyle, and I am the Homelessness Program Manager for Buncombe County. Wanted to just give a little bit of additional information about sheltering and the response as it relates to sheltering and recovery that the county is undertaking along with lots of community partners. Before I get into that, though, I do want to just name that I'm aware that ABCCM has a continued need for volunteer support for their Code Purple operations. So if you're interested in being part of that effort, I think probably the best thing to do would be to reach out to the city's homeless strategy staff at the email that Nikki mentioned earlier. That's homelessstrategy@ashevillec.gov. And those folks can get you connected with ABCCM to volunteer for that effort. Lillian mentioned earlier that the Western North Carolina Rescue Ministries are currently operating the emergency shelter that was established in response to the storm that is located at the Gold's Gem site on Hendersonville Road. They have been operating that. They took over operations from the Red Cross a few weeks back. and they're going to be there for a bit longer with some funding and material support from the Red Cross. And I just want to say a huge thank you to the Red Cross for that support. The rescue ministry staff are working very closely with Buncombe County social work staff, as well as other community partners, to find solutions for shelter residents and to coordinate access to needed services during their stay in that shelter. As of yesterday afternoon, there were around 50 residents in the shelter. The goal is to connect all of those residents with housing solutions, whether they are temporary but longer term than emergency shelter or permanent. And I just want to also say that I've been extremely impressed with the hard work that the social work staff are doing and the rescue ministry staff are doing to place folks and help them figure out places to go. The rescue ministry, county staff, and the Continuum of Care shelter work group are also continuing to gather information and data right now to help us understand the ongoing level of need for emergency shelter as it pertains to the storm in our community, as well as, of course, as it pertains to our neighbors who were unhoused prior to the storm. That shelter work group is comprised of homeless shelter and homeless service providers, city and county staff, and Continuum of Care members and Continuum of Care board members. So prior to the storm, this work group was already focusing on planning and strategy for increasing emergency shelter capacity for our unhoused neighbors in the community. And post Helene, this work group is currently undertaking research to identify current capacity needs in our community, as well as what we may need in terms of facilities and options for facilities in the area, investigating funding sources, and really just continuing to plan and strategize for emergency shelter capacity, as I said, both for our unhoused neighbors as well as folks who were displaced by the storm. And this shelter work group is also doubling as the shelter work group for the county's Housing Recovery Task Force, which is an important component of the county's larger recovery efforts. Right now, that work group is meeting weekly to talk with emergency shelter providers and to identify areas for support, as well as to work together with those providers around shelter planning. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Rebecca Pittman with the Red Cross now.
Good morning. Thank you all for having me. As mentioned, my name is Rebecca Pittman, and I am the Regional Disaster Officer for the North Carolina region of the Red Cross. And I am currently serving as the Deputy Disaster Relief Operations Director for our Hurricane Helene response. This morning, I'd like to share a few updates that are specific to our response in Buncombe County. To date, the American Red Cross has provided nearly 249,000 emergency supply items to over 57,000 households in Buncombe County. Over the length of the operation, we have opened and operated 6 shelters with almost 12,800 overnight stays. As mentioned, as of last week, we have closed all of the Red Cross operated emergency disaster shelters, but continue to support our partners in the long-term sheltering space. We also stand ready to support our partners in opening new shelters this winter if and when the need arises for disaster purposes. With our feeding partners, we have served over 218,000 hot meals, in addition to the 16,000 shelf-stable meals that we distributed before our kitchens were established through our partner network. At this time, the Red Cross is continuing to support the community care sites across the county, and we are planning to continue to serve hot meals at all locations until November 30th. At that time, we will transition to shelf-stable meal boxes until the community care stations are closed. In the coming weeks, we will begin our financial assistance program by reaching out directly to those who have major structural damage or destroyed homes to offer additional assistance. Beyond this program, the Red Cross is actively engaging with our partners to begin long-term recovery efforts and discussions. The American Red Cross will continue to support our communities impacted by Helene for years to come. The American Red Cross was present in the community before Helene, and we will continue to be here long after. For more information about anything mentioned today, please visit redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. And with that, I will turn it back to Lillian.
Thank you so much. We will turn things over to questions from the media. I know the cold temperatures have been of a lot of interest in how we're responding, especially with the different landscape that we have now versus in previous cold weather events. So if anyone, John Boyle, if you're awake and with us, any questions that y'all might have?
Well, since you called on me, I have a question for Ms. Pender.
She just stepped outside with a call.
Okay.
Something that I can answer for you.
Possibly. I had a reader asking me about, some folks are still kind of confused about debris pickup, and and I'll just read you this part. The person said the new program the county talks about requires that your homeowner's insurance denied your coverage for storm damage. So they're wondering, how are the rest of us supposed to get mounds of debris cleared?
Right. So with all of the assistance program, one assistance program can't do something that's being paid for by another assistance program, right? That's where people are, finding that FEMA won't pay for something that an insurance company has paid for. And so that's how all of the systems work, so that they're not all paying for the same service. So if someone has gone through their insurance company, the insurance company says no, then they can apply for this program. Of course, we also are seeing that our nonprofit partners are really filling a lot of spaces and needs. I know that Samaritan's Purse is doing debris cleanup, where they are taking debris and moving it to the right of way. Of course, we heard from Team Rubicon taking debris, moving it to the right of way. And so the first step with any issue related to the storm is always going to be to check with your insurance company first, make sure that you register with FEMA, and then if your insurance company has said no, go to this program. And this is, again, as Avril explained, debris. I heard a story about someone who said, there's a house in my backyard now that had been relocated from another property and ended up in their property. These are the sorts of things that the private property debris removal program are great for. Obviously, trees, sheds, building products, construction materials, all of that is exactly what this program is for. And so if your insurance company says no, this is the next stop, but always make sure that you have registered with FEMA as well.
Okay. And would you be able to offer any, I know Ms. Pender has said before, these things take time. Would you be able to offer any time frame for folks on how long it might take to get the debris picked up?
Well, I know that we have just over 100 people 100 individuals who have gone through the private property debris removal application process, and that work is starting on those properties. And so this is slightly different than the overall debris program, where we're making multiple sweeps, in that this is a specific address where we are working to do that debris collection. And so that is dependent on where folks are in the application process. And once that gets approved, then they will work directly with them to get that right of entry and get to that debris that has accumulated on that property.
And can folks still take stuff to the dump themselves?
They can, we've said before, we've seen a 300% increase in use of the landfill. The great thing about property debris removal is that with the property debris removal, it helps us extend the lifespan of our landfill so that materials are taken to other locations and not to our landfill. So, we know that some of the construction and debris material is going to Tennessee. And so that helps us a great deal in terms of helping extend the life of our landfill. It is a limited lifespan.
Okay, thank you. This person suggested that they're ready to have a bonfire in their yard, which I'm assuming you would frown upon.
Especially if they live within any of the municipal city limits where that is prohibited.
Yes. The other question I had, and I don't know if this be for Ms. Pender or somebody else, or if y'all be able to answer this today. I've had several people reach out to me about confusing list of allegedly hundreds or thousands of people who remain missing from this storm. It's a persistent misinformation, I believe. Have y'all got a good number on missing people? And is there a reputable state source you can refer people to for a list?
So it goes to the local law enforcement agency. And last time that I checked with the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office, that number was fewer than 8, and not all of those were related to the storm. What we are seeing is, for lack of a better term, bad actors, people who profit in terms of views and clicks, and even poorly, malintended GoFundMes, who are coming here and claiming to be part of an emergency response, and that there's this number of people who are missing and that the government's not telling you the truth. When in fact, those are exactly the types of videos and narratives that help fund those individuals and aren't constructive or helpful to our process. So like I said, last time, Buncombe County Sheriff's Office, I checked, and that it's been a couple weeks. It was fewer than 8, and not all of those were certain to be storm related. So anytime you hear a number that there are hundreds of people here or thousands of people not being represented, or someone's on the ground, and let me tell you this is not the truth, that is in fact fictitious.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? From the chat, do I have anything, Angelica? I see her.
I'll take one from the chat for you. This is for the city. And I know we have city representatives here today. Does the city suggest replacing at-home water filters before using them again post Helene?
Hold on 1 second. They're sitting in the back of the room. We'll put them in the front seat next time.
In response, it's always good to follow your manufacturer's instructions on replacing water filters, but it is suggested to replace your water filter if you've been using it through the boil water notice.
The next question is about the North Fork Reservoir. What is being done to prevent sediment from getting into the reservoir from landslides within the reservoir's forested land?
Can you repeat that question, please? I'm sorry.
This is from Stephanie Rogers. She asks, what is being done to prevent further sediment from getting into the reservoir from landslides within the reservoir's forested land?
So I'm not aware. I don't believe we had a landslide into North Fork. We did not. So obviously the best way to avoid landslides is to have ground cover, trees, things like that. I will say, I think the creeks that feed North Fork, there was such a volume of water that came through those. I believe it scoured those creeks to an extent and contributed to that sediment. So obviously on the aftermath of this, we'll have to work with our watershed staff and partners to try to look at those creek beds and try to stabilize those where we can. Again, I just want to remind the community, our bigger resilience redundancy strategy is to make improvements to the North Fork water treatment plant so we're able to treat water with sediment in it. But yes, we'll continue to evaluate the watershed and look for ways to make sure we can reduce sediment as much as possible from those contributing creeks. Thank you.
Ben and Brenna, before y'all go, I've got a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Brenna. I continue to get concerns about lead testing and that sort of thing, which I'm sure y'all do too. Honestly, too many to go through here, but one person with a chemistry background in water experience has said she's very concerned still about the lead in this 19-day gap, because it can take 30 days or more for kind of that protection to build back up from the anti-corrosive material. This person was recommending that people drink and cook only with bottled water until they get their test results back. I was wondering if y'all would agree with that, first of all, then I have a follow-up question.
So when we first announced that we had not fed corrosion control for 19 days, we recommended that people use bottled water, especially if they're pregnant, breastfeeding, or have a child under the age of 6 in their home. It is up to the customer individually to choose to do that. If they do not have access to bottled water, we once again really stress, if the water has set for more than 4 hours, to flush your water for at least 30 seconds to 2 minutes, or until you feel that temperature change.
Okay. Another
Which is
question
EPA
was,
guidance, sorry.
I'm sorry, what was that last thing you said?
The flushing protocol that we have recommended is EPA guidance.
Oh, okay. Thank you. The second part of this was on the blood test for lead. This person felt that, it is such a high concern. Is there any way to expedite that or bring in another outside company to get these results back to people quicker?
We are not capable of doing the blood test. That would be a question to the Department of Health and Human Services. But as they stated, they stress to customers who have children under the age of 6, if they're pregnant or breastfeeding, to reach out to their primary care provider or to reach out to the department if they do not have one.
Thank you.
Any other questions in the chat, Angelica?
We have one more for City of Asheville. How long can Asheville residents expect free parking and transit?
I had that same question yesterday when I was driving through town. All the spaces were taken. City Manager Deborah Campbell's on her way up.
Good morning. We will likely have some information about parking next week, and as well as transit. So if you can give us to the Monday briefing, we'll have a detailed response for you at that time.
And next week, we'll have briefings on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, obviously not Thursday or Friday due to the holiday. Any other questions in the chat, Angelica? Something quiet over there. With the code purple, I want to make sure folks know, Register of Deeds, if you drive past there at night, or HHS building, you'll see those buildings are both lit up purple. Those lights only are operating during a code purple event. So the intent of that is to let people know, folks who are walking by, that we are in a code purple and that those code purple resources are available to you. So if you drive by and see those beautiful purple lights shining, know that that is our way of signaling to the community that we are in a code purple and additional sheltering options are available. I also have a bit of exciting news, at least for folks like me in my neighborhood. New trash cans I signed up with FCC Environmental. New trash cans are going to start being delivered in early December. They're all one color. And so make sure that you sign up. If you're a current Waste Pro subscriber, sign up with FCC Environmental so you can get those beautiful new trash cans as well. And they will be delivered to your doorstep. Then finally, just wanted to share, I know folks are starting to come back to the area, come back to the community, looking for ways to help us rebuild. For me, this Saturday is the last Black Mountain tailgate market of the season. So I've got to go pick up that turkey that I've obviously been thinking about from my farmer. For folks who have EBT, those purchases are doubled at the tailgate markets. So that's where I'm going to be headed out to this weekend. And of course, with the cold weather, there's a restaurant in Black Mountain called Log and Get that has the absolute best French onion soup. So that is what I recommend for your weekend. We will not have a briefing tomorrow, but we'll be back on Monday. For folks who have Hurricane Helene related questions, please call our One Buncombe call center, open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 828-250-6100. And they will get you helped out. If you need help with debris, you just push 2. And that's 828-250-6100. And we will look forward to seeing y'all back here on Monday.